The training started the next morning at 6 a.m., which Jedediah decided was an ungodly hour invented by sadists. Eugene picked her up from the hammock in a sleek black SUV, her expression unreadable behind designer sunglasses. "You're late," Eugene said, even though Jedediah was right on time. "Good morning to you too." Eugene's lips twitched, the closest thing to a smile Jedediah had seen from her. "Minjun says you want to learn self-defense. I'm going to teach you how to survive." The training facility was in the basement of one of Minjun's legitimate businesses, a high-end gym in Gangnam that catered to celebrities and chaebols. But the basement was something else entirely. A tactical training center that looked like it belonged in a spy movie. "Holy shit," Jedediah breathed, taking in the weapons range, the combat mats, the obstacle course that looked legitimately terrifying. "Language," Eugene said mildly, then immediately contradicted herself. "Actually, fuck it. You're going to need to curse a lot over the next few weeks. Let's start." What followed were the most grueling 4 hours of Jedediah's life. Eugene was relentless, teaching her basic strikes, how to break a hold, where to hit for maximum impact, how to use everyday objects as weapons. By the time they finished, Jedediah was drenched in sweat, her muscles screaming, and sporting several bruises that would be interesting to explain. "You're not completely hopeless," Eugene said, which Jedediah had learned was high praise. "You've got good instincts. You don't freeze when someone comes at you. That's rare. I had 3 older brothers growing up. You learn to fight or you learn to run." Eugene actually smiled then. "Good. We'll build on that. Same time tomorrow." "Tomorrow? I can barely move." "Then you'll learn to fight through pain. This isn't a hobby class, Jedediah. People will actually try to hurt you. You need to be ready." The words sobered her. This was real. This was her life now. After showering in the gym's luxurious facilities, because even the secret training basement had amenities that put most spas to shame, Jedediah headed to work. She'd managed to smooth things over with Director Kim by claiming a family emergency, but she knew she was on thin ice. Missing work without notice wasn't exactly career-building behavior. Mi-sun ambushed her at her desk. "Okay, spill everything. Now." Her friend pulled up a chair, eyes gleaming with curiosity and concern. "You disappeared yesterday. You come back looking like you got hit by a truck. And the internet is full of rumors about Kang Minjun. What the hell is going on?" Jedediah looked at her friend's sweet, sheltered Mi-sun, who thought the height of drama was office politics and whose idea of danger was trying street food from a cart without checking the hygiene rating. "Mi-sun, I need you to trust me when I say some things are better if you don't know. That's what people say before they end up on the news. I'm fine. Promise. Minjun is complicated, but he's not dangerous to me." "He's dangerous to someone, apparently." Mi-sun pulled up another article. 3 rival gang members were hospitalized last night. Sources say it was retaliation for the warehouse incident. Jedediah's stomach churned. She'd asked for full transparency, and Minjun had promised it. That meant accepting all of him, including the violent parts. "I need to go," she said abruptly. "Jedediah, I'm sorry, Mi-sun. I really am. But I can't explain right now. Just trust me." Mi-sun looked worried but nodded. "Okay, but if you need help, anything at all, you call me. Promise. Promise." Jedediah made it through 3 more hours of work, responding to emails on autopilot, before her new phone buzzed with a message from Minjun. "Penthouse. Now, we need to talk." The tension in those 4 words made her chest tight. Ji-hoon was waiting outside her office building. The drive to the penthouse was silent, and when they arrived, Minjun was standing by the windows, his posture rigid, still wearing the clothes from the night before. "You haven't slept," she observed. "Couldn't." He turned to face her, and she saw the exhaustion in his eyes, the weight he carried. "You saw the news? About the hospitalizations?" "Yes. And you're here anyway." You promised me transparency. This is part of that, isn't it? He nodded slowly. They came after one of my warehouses. 3 of my men were injured, 1 critically. Couldn't let that stand. In my world, weakness invites destruction. I had to send a message. Did you? She swallowed. Did you personally hurt those men? Yes. No hesitation, no shame. Just honesty like she'd asked for. I beat the man who gave the order until he told me who sent him. Then I made sure he understood what happens when you target what's mine. Jedida moved to the couch and sat down, her legs suddenly unsteady. This was it, the reality of loving a man like Minjun. Not the romance and stolen kisses, but the violence and moral ambiguity. Tell me how you're feeling, he said, sitting beside her but not touching, giving her space. Don't hide from me. She searched for the right words. I'm disturbed, not surprised, but disturbed. Because part of me understands why you did it. Protect your people, maintain your position. But part of me is horrified because I was raised to believe violence is never the answer. It shouldn't be, he agreed quietly. In a perfect world, I could go to the police, file a report, trust the system to handle it. But my world isn't perfect. It's built on power and fear and respect earned through strength. I know. She looked at him. The question is, can I live with that? Can I kiss a man who hurt people with his own hands? That's what you need to decide. His voice was steady, but she could hear the fear underneath. I won't lie to you, Jedida. I won't pretend to be something I'm not. But I also won't force you to accept something that violates who you are. She thought about her grandmother, a civil rights activist who'd marched with Dr. King, who'd taught her that violence only begets more violence. Then she thought about her father, a veteran, who'd taught her that sometimes protecting the people you love means doing hard things. I need you to promise me something, she said finally. Anything. Promise me you'll never lie about this part of your life. Don't sanitize it or hide it. If you have to do something violent, tell me. Let me decide each time if I can handle it. Don't make that choice for me. Relief and something like awe crossed his face. You're not leaving. I'm not leaving. But Minjun, I need you to understand. I'm choosing to stay knowing what you are. But I'm also going to challenge you. Push you toward the legitimate businesses, toward building something better. I won't enable the violence, even if I accept it exists. You want to reform me, he said, a slight smile playing at his lips. I want to love all of you while believing in the best of you. Is that naive? It's brave. He finally reached for her, pulling her into his arms. And terrifying, because Jedida, I will disappoint you. I will do things that make you question why you're with me. This life is ugly sometimes. Then we'll deal with it together. That's what partnership means, right? He kissed her then, soft and reverent, like she was something precious he was afraid to break. When they pulled apart, his eyes were suspiciously bright. I don't deserve you, he whispered. Probably not. Lucky for you, I'm here anyway. They spent the rest of the evening planning, really planning their future. Minjun spread out documents on his dining table, showing her the legitimate businesses he was building, the investments in tech startups and real estate, the 5-year plan to transition completely out of the gray market operations. This is what I want, he explained, pointing to a proposal. For a venture capital firm. Clean money, legal operations, something I can be proud of. But it takes time. And during that time, I have to maintain my position in the organization, which means occasionally doing things that aren't pretty. How long? Jedida asked, studying the documents. How long until you can walk away completely? 3 years. Maybe 4. Depends on how quickly I can consolidate power and set up successors for the parts I'm leaving behind. And you're sure you want that? To walk away from the power, the fear, the control. He looked at her, his expression serious. Jedida, I've had power my whole life. It's exhausting and isolating, and it means constantly watching your back. What I want is to wake up next to you without worrying that someone's going to use you to get to me. I want to take you to dinner without a security detail. I want to build something real. Then let's do it, she said decisively. 3 years. We work together to get you out. In the meantime, I'll keep my job, maintain my independence, and you'll teach me everything I need to know to survive in your world. You make it sound simple. It won't be, but the best things never are. They sealed the agreement the way they sealed everything, with kisses that turned heated, hands exploring, clothes discarded in a trail to the bedroom. And as Minjun worshipped her body with his hands and mouth, as they moved together in perfect synchronicity, Jedida felt the rightness of her choice settle into her bones. This was her life now, complicated, dangerous, unconventional, and she wouldn't change it for anything. The next few weeks fell into a pattern. Jedida would wake at dawn for training with Eugene, who was gradually becoming something like a friend beneath the tough exterior. Then work at the marketing firm, where she threw herself into her projects with renewed energy. Evenings were spent with Minjun, sometimes at fancy restaurants where he introduced her to his business. Associates, sometimes at street food stalls where they could pretend to be normal. Nights were spent in his arms, learning his body as thoroughly as he learned hers, building intimacy in 1,000 small ways. She met more of his world. Taeyong, the dance instructor, who it turned out also served as an information broker. Mr. Choi, the lawyer, who had a wicked sense of humor behind his professorial demeanor. And slowly, carefully, Minjun introduced her to the men who worked for him. Not the foot soldiers, but his inner circle. Men who'd fought beside him, who'd helped him transform the organization. They were respectful, almost reverent around her. The boss's woman was how they referred to her, and while the possessive language should have annoyed her feminist sensibilities, she understood what it meant. She was protected, valued, off-limits. But not everyone was happy about her presence. It happened at a gala, one of those glittering soul events where the rich and powerful gathered to see and be seen. Minjun had asked her to attend as his date, their first truly public appearance together. Jedida had bought a dress for the occasion, a stunning deep purple gown that hugged her curves and made her skin glow, her braids styled in an elegant updo. When Minjun saw her, he'd actually stopped breathing for a moment. "You're going to cause a riot," he'd said, voice rough. "That's the plan." The gala was everything she expected. Excessive wealth, false smiles, conversation in Korean that she could only partly follow. Minjun kept her close, his hand possessive on her lower back, introducing her to business partners and rivals alike. That's when she met him. Park Jin-woo, head of a rival organization, all expensive suit and cold eyes. "Kong Minjun," he said in Korean, his smile not reaching his eyes. "I see you've acquired a new accessory." Jedida understood enough to bristle, but Minjun's hand tightened on her waist in warning. "Park Jin-woo, this is Jedida Williams, my partner," Minjun replied in English, making sure she could follow the conversation. "Jedida, Mr. Park runs shipping operations. Legitimate ones, I'm told." The emphasis on legitimate was deliberate, a subtle dig. Park's eyes slid to Jedida, assessing. "Unusual choice, Kong. A foreigner. Bold." "Not a choice," Minjun corrected, his voice dangerous. "A gift. One I intend to keep." "Gifts can be broken," Park said mildly. "Especially delicate ones." Before Minjun could respond, and Jedida could see the violence building in his posture, she stepped forward, extending her hand to Park. "Mr. Park," she said in careful but clear Korean, "it's interesting that you view women as objects to be broken. In my country, we call that a weakness. A man secure in himself doesn't need to threaten what another man values." Park's eyes widened slightly. Minjun made a strangled sound that might have been a suppressed laugh. "Your Korean is better than I expected," Park said, switching to English. I'm full of surprises. She smiled, all teeth. And just so we're clear, I'm not Minjun's accessory or his gift. I'm his equal, which means any threat to me is a threat to him. I'd remember that if I were you. The tension was thick enough to cut. Then Park laughed, the sound genuine. I see why you chose her, Kong. She has fire. He bowed slightly to Jedediah. My apologies, Miss Williams. I underestimated you. That won't happen again. As Park walked away, Minjun pulled her close, his lips at her ear. That was either the bravest or most foolish thing you've ever done. Probably both. Did I mess up? You were magnificent. Also, I'm going to need you to repeat that speech later when we're alone because it was possibly the hottest thing I've ever witnessed. She laughed, feeling the adrenaline drain from her system. Your standards for hot are very weird. My woman threatening a rival crime boss in mediocre Korean? That's not weird. That's perfection. The rest of the gala passed without incident, but Jedediah could feel the eyes on her. Curious, assessing, some hostile. She was no longer anonymous. She was Kong Minjun's partner, which made her a player in this dangerous game. Later, in the car heading back to the penthouse, she was quiet. Regrets? Minjun asked softly. No, but I'm realizing there's no going back now. Everyone saw us together. I'm officially part of your world. Are you scared? She thought about it honestly. A little, but also excited. Is that weird? It's very you. He kissed her temple. Thank you, by the way. For what? For standing beside me. For not needing me to fight all your battles. For being brave enough to claim your place in my world instead of hiding in my shadow. Well, I didn't come all the way to Korea to hide, she said. Plus, Eugene would be disappointed if all her training went to waste. Speaking of Eugene, she told me you landed a solid hit today. I gave her a black eye, Jedediah said proudly. She was so impressed she actually smiled. That's basically a declaration of love in Eugene terms. They both laughed, and as Seoul's lights blurred past the car windows, Jedediah felt something settle in her chest. This was her life now. Glittering galas and hidden training facilities, boardroom meetings and criminal negotiations, stolen moments of normalcy in a decidedly abnormal existence. And she was exactly where she wanted to be. 3 months after that first night, Jedediah found herself standing in Incheon International Airport, her stomach in knots. You don't have to do this, Minjun said for the 10th time, his hand warm in hers. Yes, I do. You've met your sister, your lawyer, your entire organization. It's time you met my family. Your family who has no idea you're dating a successful businessman who happens to have a complicated past. She interrupted. We talked about this. My parents don't need to know everything right away. Jedediah. He stopped walking, pulling her to face him. I refuse to meet your family under false pretenses. They deserve to know who I really am. So what do you want to do? Walk in and say, Hi, I'm Minjun. I run a criminal organization, but I'm trying to go legitimate, and also I'm madly in love with your daughter. Yes, actually, minus the criminal organization part. Maybe phrase it as, I'm in transition from a complex family business to legitimate ventures. She stared at him. You're serious. I'm always serious about you. He cupped her face. Your family is important to you. That makes them important to me. I won't start this relationship with them by lying. They're going to lose their minds. Probably. But at least they'll know the truth. The flight to Atlanta was long, giving Jedediah plenty of time to stress about the upcoming week. She told her family she was bringing someone special to meet them, which had caused enough excitement. Her mother had immediately started planning dinners. Her father had started practicing his intimidating dad routine, and her brothers had started placing bets on how long this relationship would last. They had no idea what was coming. Minjun, for his part, seemed remarkably calm. He'd insisted on bringing Ji-hoon, who'd remained discreetly nearby, and had coordinated with his American contacts to ensure security without being obvious about it. But otherwise, he acted like this was just a normal trip. To meet the girlfriend's parents. "Tell me again about your family," he said as they settled into their first-class seats. "Dad's a retired veteran. Now works as a mechanic. Mom's a nurse. I have 3 older brothers. Marcus is a teacher, Jerome's a firefighter, and Tyler's in law school. Extended family includes about 1 million cousins, aunts, uncles, and my grandmother, who is the matriarch and whose approval you absolutely need. Any advice for winning over grandmother? Be honest. She has a bullshit detector that could rival the FBI. Also, she loves anyone who can cook, appreciates hard work, and respects women. I can work with that. Minjun, I need you to understand. My family is loud, opinionated, and protective. They're going to grill you. They're going to test you. My brothers will probably try to intimidate you." He smiled, that dangerous smile that still made her stomach flip. "Jedediah, I've negotiated with Yakuza bosses and faced down rival gangs. I think I can handle your brothers. You have no idea what you're in for." She was right. The Williams family descended on them the moment they arrived at her parents' house in a quiet Atlanta suburb. Her mother, Diane, took one look at Minjun and immediately pulled him into a hug that clearly surprised him. "It's so nice to finally meet you," Diane said warmly. "Jedediah's told us so much about you. All good things, I hope," Minjun replied, his accent making Jedediah's mother visibly melt a little. Her father, Robert, was less immediately warm. He shook Minjun's hand with a grip that was definitely a test, his eyes assessing. "Welcome to our home," Robert said. "Jedediah says you're in business?" "Yes, sir. My family has various holdings in Korea. I'm currently working to transition into more legitimate ventures, technology investments, real estate development." The slight emphasis on legitimate didn't go unnoticed. Robert's eyes narrowed. "Transition? From what?" "Dad," Jedediah warned. "It's okay," Minjun said, his voice steady. "Your daughter promised me honesty with your family, and I intend to honor that. Mr. Williams, my family has historically been involved in operations that exist in legal gray areas. Protection services, gambling, territory management. When I took over 5 years ago, I began the process of legitimizing our business. It's been slow, but we're making progress." The silence was deafening. Jedediah's 3 brothers, who'd been hovering in the background, suddenly looked a lot more interested. Her mother's smile had frozen. "You're telling me you're in organized crime," Robert said flatly. "Was am transitioning out of. Will be completely legitimate within 3 years." Minjun met Robert's gaze steadily. "I understand this is concerning. If I were in your position, I'd be concerned too. But I need you to know that your daughter is the most important thing in my life, and I would never put her in danger. She has round-the-clock protection, though discreet enough that she maintains her independence." "Round the clock." Diane pressed a hand to her chest. "Oh my lord. Mom, it's not as bad as it sounds," Jedediah started. "Not as bad." Marcus, the teacher, stepped forward. "Dee, are you serious right now? You're dating a gangster." "Former gangster, technically," Tyler, the law student, corrected. "If he's transitioning out. That doesn't make it better." Jerome, the firefighter, looked at Minjun with open hostility. "What kind of danger is our sister in?" "Currently? Minimal," Minjun answered honestly. "I've made enemies in my world, yes, but I've also built alliances. And anyone who knows me knows that harming Jedediah would be the last mistake they ever make." "That's supposed to be comforting?" Robert demanded. "It's supposed to be honest, sir. You deserve to know the truth about who your daughter is with and what that means." "What it means," Jerome said, moving to stand protectively near Jedediah, "is that our sister could get caught in crossfire. Could be kidnapped, used as leverage. Which is why she's learning self-defense, Minjun interrupted. Why she has security. Why I'm working as fast as I can to leave that world behind entirely. Because your sister is right. She's not some fragile thing that needs constant protection. But she does deserve to know what she's getting into. And she does deserve people around her who will keep her safe while she lives her life. This is insane, Marcus muttered. It's my choice, Jedediah said firmly, stepping forward. Look, I know this is a lot. I know it's not what you expected or wanted for me, but I need you all to understand. I love him, and he loves me. And yes, his world is complicated and sometimes dangerous, but he's working to build something better, something legitimate. Can't you respect that? Respect it. Robert's voice rose. Baby girl, you're asking us to be okay with you dating someone who admits to being in organized crime. I'm asking you to trust me, Jedediah shot back. I'm asking you to believe that I'm smart enough to make my own decisions about my life. You all supported me when I moved to Korea alone. You supported me when I chose a career over starting a family. Why can't you support me now? Because this is different, Diane said, tears in her eyes. This is dangerous, Jedediah. We could lose you. You could lose me crossing the street. You could lose me to 100 different things. Jedediah took her mother's hands. Mom, I'm not being reckless. I know the risks, but I also know that Minjun is worth those risks. He's kind, he's funny, he challenges me, he respects me, and he's working every day to be better than who he was. Isn't that what you always taught me? That people can change? That what matters is who someone is trying to be, not just who they were. Diane looked at Minjun, really looked at him. Do you love my daughter? More than I thought I could love anyone. Minjun answered without hesitation. She's the best part of my day, every day. She makes me want to be the man she sees when she looks at me. And you'll keep her safe? With my life, if necessary. Though knowing your daughter, she'll probably be the one keeping me safe. Despite the tension that got a small laugh from Diane. She looked at her husband, some silent communication passing between them. This is a lot to process, Robert said finally. But Jedediah's right, we raised her to make her own choices. So here's what's going to happen. You're going to stay for dinner. We're going to ask you a million questions. And at the end of the week, we'll decide if we can accept this. That's fair, Minjun agreed. The dinner that followed was intense. Jedediah's family didn't hold back. They asked about his business, his plans, his family, his intentions. They wanted to know exactly what protection he provided, what dangers existed, what his exit strategy looked like. Minjun answered everything honestly, even when the answers were uncomfortable. But slowly, gradually, the temperature in the room began to shift. Her grandmother, who'd been quiet through most of dinner, finally spoke up. Young man, come help me in the kitchen, she commanded. Minjun looked at Jedediah, who nodded encouragingly. He followed her grandmother, a tiny, fierce woman named Dorothy who'd marched for civil rights and raised 6 children through poverty and prejudice. They were gone for 20 minutes. When they came back, Dorothy had her arm linked through Minjun's, and she was actually smiling. This one's all right, she announced to the family. He can cook, he respects his elders, and he loves our Jedediah something fierce. I approve. Grandma, Jedediah's brothers protested. Hush, I'm older and wiser than all of you combined. If I say he's all right, he's all right. Dorothy patted Minjun's arm. Though young man, you hurt my grandbaby, and I don't care how many gangsters you know. I'll come for you myself. Yes, ma'am, Minjun said seriously. I wouldn't expect anything less. The rest of the week was a whirlwind. Minjun charmed her mother by helping with cooking, impressed her father by asking intelligent questions about mechanics, won over Marcus by discussing education reform, bonded with Jerome over shared workout routines, and somehow got Tyler to open up about law school struggles. He attended Sunday dinner with the extended family, met about 50 cousins, survived the scrutiny of aunts and uncles, and played basketball with the younger kids in the neighborhood. And through it all, Jedediah watched him integrate into her family with a grace that made her fall even deeper in love. On their last night in Atlanta, they sat on her parents' porch, wrapped in blankets against the evening chill. "Your family is incredible," Minjun said softly. "They're overwhelming. They love you fiercely. It's beautiful." He pulled her closer. "Thank you for bringing me here, for letting me see where you come from. Thank you for being honest with them. I know it would have been easier to lie. Nothing about us is easy, but it's real. That matters more." Robert came out then, 2 beers in hand. He offered one to Minjun, who took it with surprise. "Mind if I sit?" Robert asked. "It's your porch, sir." Robert settled into a chair, quiet for a moment. "You know, when Jedediah told us she was moving to Korea, I thought she was running away. From us, from expectations, from something. Took me a while to realize she wasn't running from anything. She was running toward something. Toward the person she wanted to be." "She's remarkable," Minjun said. "She is. Always has been. Stubborn as hell, too." Robert took a sip of his beer. "I don't like your world. I don't like that my daughter could be in danger. But I've spent the week watching you two together, and I see something I can't ignore." "What's that?" "You look at her the way I look at Diane. Like she's the sun and you're trying to memorize the warmth." Robert looked at Minjun directly. "You're serious about leaving that life behind?" "Yes, sir. For her, but also for myself. I want to build something I can be proud of. Then you have my blessing. But Minjun, and I'm only going to say this once. If anything happens to my daughter because of your past, blessing or no blessing, you'll answer to me. And I might be older, but I'm not someone you want as an enemy." "Understood, sir. And appreciated." Robert stood, clapped Minjun on the shoulder, and headed inside. Jedediah, who'd been listening from the doorway, came out and wrapped her arms around Minjun from behind. "He likes you," she said. "He threatened me. Pretty sure that's not liking. In dad language, that's absolutely liking. Trust me." They flew back to Korea a few days later, both exhausted but happy. As they drove from the airport to the penthouse, Minjun pulled out a small box. "What's this?" Jedediah asked. "Open it." Inside was a key. Simple, elegant, clearly to the penthouse. "I want you to move in with me," Minjun said. "Not because I'm trying to control you or keep you close for safety reasons, but because I want to wake up next to you every morning. I want to come home to you every night. I want to build a life with you, officially, completely." Jedediah looked at the key, then at him. 3 months ago, she'd been a lonely expat working late nights and eating ramen alone. Now she was being asked to move in with a reformed gangster who made her heart race and her life infinitely more complicated. "Okay," she said simply. Okay, I'll move in. On one condition. Name it. We get a dog. A big, fluffy one. Because this penthouse is way too serious and masculine. It needs a puppy to balance things out." He laughed, pulling her into his arms. "Whatever you want. We'll get 10 dogs if that makes you happy. 1 is fine, but I'm naming it. Deal." As they kissed in the back of the car, soul spreading out around them in lights and possibilities, Jedediah thought about the journey that had brought her here. From Atlanta to Korea. From loneliness to love. From safety to beautiful, terrifying risk. She'd come to Korea looking for more. She'd found everything. 2 years later, the gallery opening was packed with Seoul's elite, all gathered to celebrate Hannah's first solo exhibition. Jedediah stood next to Minjun, her hand resting on her barely visible baby bump, watching Hannah nervously greet guests. "She's going to be amazing," Jedediah said. "She already is. The art world has no idea what's about to hit them." Minjun's hand covered hers on her stomach. "How are you feeling?" "Like there's a tiny human doing gymnastics inside me." How are you feeling? Terrified, excited, like my life is about to change completely all over again. A lot had changed in 2 years. Minjun had successfully transitioned out of all gray market operations. His organization now a legitimate investment firm that specialized in tech startups and real estate. The transition hadn't been easy. There'd been threats, confrontations, one particularly scary incident that had resulted in Jedida deploying her self-defense training for real, but they'd made it through. Jedida had been promoted to senior marketing director, splitting her time between the corporate world and occasionally consulting for Minjun's ventures. They'd gotten the dog, a massive, fluffy Samoyed named Machi who thought he was a lapdog, and 6 months ago, Minjun had proposed on the same rooftop where they'd had their first kiss, with all of Seoul glittering below them. The wedding was planned for next spring, assuming the baby, a girl they just found out, cooperated with the timeline. Your parents called, Minjun said. They want to know if they should come early to help with the baby prep. What did you tell them? That I would absolutely love their help. Because I have no idea what I'm doing, and your father's handyman skills would be invaluable for building the nursery. Jedida laughed. Good answer. You've learned. I've had good teachers. He kissed her temple. Thank you, by the way. For what? For giving me a chance that night. For seeing past what I was to what I could be. For loving me when I didn't think I deserved it. Minjun, you've thanked me about 1,000 times. I think we're even. Never. I'll never stop being grateful that you walked into that restaurant and changed my entire life. Eugene approached then, immaculate in a tailored suit, a rare smile on her face. The baby's room is ready. I installed the security system myself. You're putting a security system in a nursery? Jedida asked. Of course. Can't be too careful. Eugene, I love you, but you need to relax. The baby's going to be fine. She's going to be perfect, Eugene corrected. And she's going to know Taekwondo before she can walk if I have anything to say about it. As Eugene walked away to oversee some security detail that definitely wasn't necessary at an art gallery, Jedida leaned into Minjun's embrace. This is our life now, she mused. Art openings and baby nurseries and overprotective security chiefs. Disappointed? Not even a little bit. She turned in his arms, looking up at him. You know what I realized the other day? What? When I moved to Korea, I was looking for adventure. For something more than the safe, predictable life everyone expected me to have. And I found it. But I also found home. In you, in us, in this beautiful, chaotic life we're building. His eyes were suspiciously bright. You're going to make me cry at my sister's art opening. Cry away. I don't mind. He kissed her then, soft and sweet and full of promise. Around them, Seoul's elite mingled and judged and networked. But in that moment, they were just two people who'd found each other against all odds and built something beautiful from the chaos. A former gangster trying to be better. A beautiful black woman who dared to be brave. And a love story that proved sometimes the best things in life come wrapped in unexpected packages. I love you, Minjun whispered against her lips. I love you too. Now come on. Let's go support your sister before she has a panic attack. And then home. And then home. They walked through the gallery hand in hand. Jedida's family watching over video call from Atlanta. Machi waiting at home with a dog sitter. A baby girl growing in her belly, and an entire future stretching out before them. It wasn't the life either of them had planned. It was so much better.
Hello besties, in this story we learned that true love doesn't demand perfection, it inspires transformation. Thank you so much for watching. Kindly like, subscribe and share.